Alright, so basically, how I started this track was I was looking through some old samples that I made, and I found this, which sound like this. And then I also found another version of that, which I chopped up. I think I did it in the same project, because I also found this within here, which you can find all like your consolidated stuff over here on the rendered tab in FL Studio. It's really useful if you're in a rut and you just want to like find some old samples that you worked on. And yeah, it sounds really close to the original melody, but I pitched that up 200 cents over here, as you can see over here, and that just changed the key to D sharp major, which is what I'm most comfortable singing in. Yeah. As for another synth part, uh, just this tiny little buzzy synth that I made using Cymatics synth one shot. It's going through some Fruity Squeeze as a bit crusher, a little bit of EQ, and some reverb to give it some dimension, but not like any wetness, like reverb wetness. I just use that in bridge and also the latter half of the hook to give it more energy and add some melodic variation because the sample goes through the entire track, so I didn't want it to sound super boring. When it comes to the drums, it's very trap-like drums, which sound like this. Yeah, and there's two hi-hat patterns. There's the main hook hi-hat pattern, which is more rapid and gives it more consistency. This way, there's more energy in the hook and it sounds more full. But during the verses, when everything's kind of like quieting down, it starts to become a little bit more like a shaker, and then yeah. It's more spread out to be more relaxed during these parts. So the 808 is really fat. It's a 808 that I synthesized that you can find in my sample pack. You can get this for free if you ask. So I synthesized this 808 and then I added it a little bit more using some Fruity Wave Shaper and some Blood Overdrive to give it more distortion. Alright, and the entire thing with no vocals sounds like this. So now we get to my vocal chain. So it's actually quite simple. My vocal chain is
forgive me now for falling. We were up at night and fall asleep. Don't remember the last time you called in. Afraid it's dark and I can't see.
So how I achieve that pitched up voice is I sing as high as I can. I don't sing terribly high or anything like that, just as high as I can. And then I'm just solo the main part.
Forgive me now for falling.
I pitch up my take by 12 semitones and then I send it to my autotune, which is M Auto Pitch. This is a free plugin and it's pretty great. So I set it to the key. I also set it to D sharp pentatonic because I thought it sounded nicer being limited to those 5 notes. So I turned down the Foreman shift by 7.8. This way it pitches it down but doesn't actually change the notes. So it still sounds nice and cohesive. And there's still some light auto-tune here, 30% speed and 75% depth to make it sound robotic and also just fix a little bit of things that I couldn't sing that well. But the rest of my chain is very simple, some parametric EQ, my voice is very bassy, so I cut out a lot of the bass over here, and compression just to level it out, Maximus as a de-esser, OTT to bring some life into the vocal, because OTT is absolutely goated for vocals. Don't have to even put it that much. 50% is like fine. You could even push it even more if you wanted. Light reverb, just give it some space, and limiter to crush any dynamics that I didn't want. And there's two layers, well, 3 layers, but there's 2 layers that play throughout most of the song, and the second layer sounds like this.
Forget me not for falling. We were up at nights and fall asleep.
And it's basically the same thing as my first layer over here, but this one is stereoized, and also the Foreman shift is a little bit lower to make it different sounding. Also, most of the takes in this layer don't even sound that good. Oh my god, okay. There's a motorcycle flying by, but yeah, most of the takes in this layer don't even sound that good, but that way it kind of harmonizes perfectly with the main layer and it sounds good and full. I use some stereo enhancer to separate it and not make it in the middle, so the entire vocal along with the main vocal, it sounds more full, because like,
forget me not for falling. We were up at nights and fall asleep.
it's a night and day difference, even though this take isn't even that good. And for the final hook, I added a 3rd layer, which is my natural voice.
Forget me not for falling. We were up at nights and fall asleep.
It sounds pretty bad, but it sounds fine in the mix, so I didn't really care much about it. Light auto-tune because I didn't want it to sound too robotic or anything like that, but same vocal chain basically, except with no Foreman shifting. And yeah, that's pretty much the entire track. And then
forget me not for falling. We were up at nights and fall asleep. Don't remember the last time you called in. Faded to dark and I can't see anything, but I'm fine just to realize I'm all alone in a room full of faces. It's okay though, I got more time left to figure me out.
hope you enjoyed watching this.